पहले एक बुक लिखी थी मैंने, ए ब्यूटीफुल प्लेस टू गेट लॉस्ट।
मैं इस पुस्तक को जिस दिन उठाया हूँ, कल उठाया हूँ सुबह, जे कृष्णमूर्ति के बाद मुझे किसी ने हिलाया है। ये है, मैंने टीम को बोला नंबर निकालो, मुझे जाना है, मिलना है और मुझे चरणों में गिरना है।
All right, so ever feel trapped? Like not literally trapped, but stuck in your own head.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Everyone gets stuck in their own thoughts sometimes. It's totally normal.
Okay, good. Phew, just checking. But like, what if those thought traps are like way more common than we realize? That's what we're going to deep dive into today using this book, A Beautiful Place to Get Lost.
Interesting title. Kind of poetic, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's not a typical how to fix yourself book. It's more, I don't know, thought-provoking.
Yeah, and it's actually written more like poetry. You know, it's not just like straight up advice. It kind of makes you think differently about thinking.
Right. And it all starts with this idea they call the maze of the mind.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. There's this image in the book of a bird stuck in a cage, but it built the cage itself.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
And the book says, simplicity is a cage, which is kind of a confusing statement at first, right?
Yeah, because like usually we think of simple as good, right? Easy, straightforward.
Totally. But the author is saying that wanting things to be simple all the time, like needing everything to be super clear and controlled, well, that can actually trap us. It's like that bird, too scared to leave its cage even though it's the one who built it.
Yeah, I get that. So that desire for control, for like a simple answer to everything, that's what the cage represents.
Exactly. Like, have you ever had one of those problems that just like spins around in your head and you can't find a solution? You're stuck.
Oh, totally. And the harder I try to figure it out, the more confused I get. It's like digging yourself deeper into that mental maze.
Right. And that's what the book calls being stuck in our own rigid thinking. But there's another way to live, according to the book. Instead of the cage, the book offers this idea of a river.
A river, like flowing.
Yeah. It's about embracing the flow of life instead of trying to like build dams and control every little ripple, you know.
Okay, so it's not about forcing things to go a certain way.
Exactly. It's more about adapting, you know, going with the current, even if there are some rapids or unexpected turns. What do you think? Could you live like that, all flowy?
I'd have to practice, for sure. I like planning things out. But I can see how holding on too tightly to my plans could make me miss out on some cool stuff.
Right. Like sometimes the best adventures happen when you just go with the flow and see where life takes you. And that's kind of what this book is encouraging us to do.
I dig it. So less rigid thinking, more going with the flow.
Got it.
Now, ready for another big idea from the book? This one's about love.
Ooh, love. Always down for some love talk.
Right. But it's not just romantic love, it's bigger. The book calls it love as an invisible thread.
Invisible thread. That's cool. Okay, explain that to me.
So it's about like seeing the connections between everything. You know, like we're all part of this big web of life, right? Not just separate individuals doing our own thing.
Yeah, I can see that. Like we all share the same planet, breathe the same air. Right. And the book even says love isn't about taking, it's realizing everything you are comes from the world around you. So instead of always thinking about what we can get from others, love is like realizing we're already connected to everything and everything is connected to us.
Whoa. That makes love seem a lot less about like flowers and candy and more about like respecting nature and, I don't know, appreciating where my food comes from.
Exactly. It's a whole different way of seeing things, right?
Yeah, it is. But wouldn't that get overwhelming? Like if I have to be responsible for, well, everything.
It's not about feeling guilty or burdened. It's about appreciating those connections. Like those threads are already there. We just got to notice them.
Okay, that makes more sense. It's like even if I don't see them, those threads are what holds everything together.
Totally. And it makes me think about the flow idea again, you know? Like maybe love flows naturally when we stop trying so hard to control it.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Because like the more I try to force someone to love me, the less they seem to, you know.
Right. This book is definitely about letting go of that control in all areas of life.
Love, thoughts, everything. Okay, I'm getting it. What else is in this book?
Well, buckle up because this is where things get really mind-bendy. It talks about time.
Time. What about it? It just keeps moving forward.
Right. That's what we usually think. But this book asks, is a mountain real if it's hidden behind clouds?
Whoa, that's a good question. I mean, it's still there. We just can't see it.
Exactly. And the author uses this to talk about how our idea of time, past, present, future, is maybe not the whole story.
Okay, so is the book saying time isn't real?
Not exactly. It's saying our perception of time is maybe more subjective than we realize. Like we choose what to focus on, the past, the future, or right now. And the book says life is here in the ink on this page, the breath in your lungs.
Oh, wow. I like that quote. It's like, this is all we have, this moment.
Right. And the book says that the past and future, those are just things in our heads, but this moment, that's the real thing.
That is pretty mind-bending. So if I'm always stressing about the future, I'm missing out on what's happening now.
Totally. And if I'm stuck in regret about the past, same thing. It's like, have you ever been so lost in your thoughts that you miss something cool happening right in front of you?
Oh, yeah, totally. Like walking past someone I know and not even seeing them. I'm too busy thinking about work or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book says that we got to shift our perspective, pay more attention to the NOW, even small things like what you're tasting, feeling, hearing.
Okay, so less time traveling in my head, more being present in my body.
You got it.
Hmm.
It's about savoring this moment because it's all we've got for sure.
Okay, wow. That's a lot to think about. This whole deep dive, it's like a mini course in how to live differently.
Right. We've got this maze of the mind, love is a thread connecting everything, and time is something we experience instead of just measure. What's the big takeaway, though? What's the author trying to tell us?
Well, the last line of the book is, let go of every story, even this one.
Let go of the story. I don't get it. What story?
It's like, we try to make sense of everything, right? We tell ourselves stories about who we are, what life is about. But the book is saying, what if we let go of those stories?
Okay. So, like, stop trying to figure everything out and just be.
Yeah, kind of. Be open to the mystery, to not knowing all the answers. Like, remember the river, the flow. Maybe life is more about that than having it all figured out.
Wow. Okay, I need some time to process this. This is deep stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That's the beauty of a deep dive, right? It makes you think. And maybe even change the way you see things.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me on this journey. I need to go take a walk now and maybe stare at some clouds. Think about that mountain.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks for having me.